Okay everyone, I'm here for another retro review. As usual, the retro reviews are just content till I do a major series or something like that. So, when it comes to wrestling related stuff, other stuff I can do anytime I want to once I figure out what I want to do. But since this is a wrestling related thing, I am reviewing WCW Beach Blast 1992 today. This is the event that eventually morphed and became Bash at the Beach, interestingly enough. It took place on June the 20th, 1992. Oh, and by the way, WWE Network, can you please learn the dates of these shows, because you're always a day off on them, or in this case, you're 2 days off when you say it actually debuted and took place. Because WWE Network says this took place on June the 18th of 1992 and took place on June 20th. I don't know how they own all these things and don't know what date they took place, because Wikipedia can tell you that. But that's a minor issue. That's a minor issue, actually. In some cases, the older WCW pay-per-views told you when that pay-per-view was, but that's minor. Anyway, this took place on June the 20th, 1992, from the Mobile Civic Center in Mobile, Alabama. Yes, the Gulf Coast. Well, that's interesting to have a show about a beach on the Gulf Coast. But hey, I'm not gonna. At least when it came back to the beach, it actually went to either an actual beach or a place that had beach in its name most of the time, or a state known for its beaches. Alabama's not exactly known for beaches. It's not like South Carolina or North Carolina, which are known for beaches. You know, Myrtle Beach and stuff like that. But anyway, there are 7 matches on this card, so our maximum star rating is 35. And this is actually a very good show, with the exception of a couple matches. But our opening contest, WCW Light Heavyweight Championship match, Flyin Brian versus Scotty Flamingo. Flyin Brian versus Scotty Flamingo before he quoted the Raven. That was Scotty Flamingo was Raven, so I added that small little touch. And ironically, this was the last Light Heavyweight Championship match that I know of until they brought the Cruiserweight Championship back in 1996. I imagine it's because of the dumb decision to make coming off the top rope illegal, which is a standard in these kind of matches. 3 stars though. This is a very good match. It's 3 stars. Not a bad match, not horrible or nothing. You know, it's 3 stars. Most of the matches here are actually very good matches, so this is one of them. So I think that Scotty Flamingo technically became the final WCW Cruiserweight Champion, or Light Heavyweight Champion. And again, some people may not even know that Raven was anything before he was Raven, but he actually was this. Then he was Johnny Polo, managing the Quebecers in the WWE in 1993 and 4, before going to ECW and really finding the character that defined his entire career, which is the Raven character. So then we have the Ron Simmons versus the Terry Taylor-Made Man. Yes, this is Terry Taylor when he had a name called the Taylor-Made Man, so he's the Terry Taylor-Made Man. So, yeah, I know that's a bad joke, but, well, that's what you're going to get from me with jokes. Or puns. So, anyway, this is a 1-star match. It's basically a squash. Taylor gets enough offense in that it's not that it doesn't count as a squash, but for instance versus is, as Simmons gets most of the offense and wins for Power Slam. But they were building Simmons up to the WCW World Championship anyway, to where he would win that championship in August of 92. I don't really know if that was a Clash of the Champions or not, though, but I know it took place in August of 92. I just don't know if it was a Clash of the Champions. So then we get Marcus Bagwell versus Greg the Hammer Valentine. 1.5 stars. Better than the last match, but still not that good. Valentine won. I personally would say Bagwell should have won because he was a newer talent at the time. but he also has never been the best single wrestler in the world. He found his niche later when he started tagging with people. 1.5 stars. So then we get another good match. Falls Count Anywhere match. Sting versus Cactus Jack. Yeah, 3 stars. And for a guy who doesn't like hardcore wrestling too much, this is fine with me because I don't mind the hardcore style. I just don't want an entire pay-per-view or show or promotion around it, which is why I don't really like the original ECW too much. You know, it's one of those things where have something for everyone kind of thing. And I admire matches that are outside of the box. I just, you know, hardcore matches, at least the way that most companies write them, don't tend to ever have storytelling elements involved in them. And storytelling elements is a big part of what I prefer in a match. It's also the main reason I'm very picky about a 5-star rating. But yeah, this is a good match. This is arguably Cactus Jack's best match he had in WCW. In fact, it is his best match he had in WCW because most of the other ones aren't that great. Sting wins with a clothesline off the top on the ramp. Sting was the world champion at this time, but the title wasn't on the line, which kind of makes me question why it wasn't, because there's no real reason why it should not have been on the line. I mean, sure, I know that he had Vader at the Great American Bash, but that's no real reason not to put that online. In fact, there are actually only 2 title matches on the 7-match card, despite 2 of the people in single matches had a championship. So while this isn't Uncensored 95 in terms of making no sense of championship matches, instead of having champions and non-title matches all night, there are at least a couple here. But Sting won, 3 stars. So then we get a very good match, one of two really good matches. They don't get to the 5-star territory, but they are 2-star matches. They're 4-star matches, excuse me. Our first one is a 30-minute Iron Man challenge. Rick Rude versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So yeah, for people who may have thought that the WWE invented the Iron Man match, no. WCW did it at least for the States. Now, I don't know if Japan did matches like this, or if Lucha Libre did matches like this before this match showed up here. I don't follow Lucha Libre and Japanese wrestling that much, so I don't really know the kind of matches that they have came up with. But as a state, on the state side, this was the very first Iron Man type of match that we actually had, and then WWE basically took the idea 4 years later, added 30 extra minutes onto it, and in my opinion, made it more boring. Yeah, because my main problem with that Iron Man match has always been, I'm talking about the Bret Hart Shawn Michaels one and not some of the other WWE Iron Man matches, was that it ended 1-0. That is unbelievable. It's hard to suspend your disbelief when you think that people can wrestle for 1 hour and never be pinned, submitted, or counted out, or disqualified, or anything like that. Now, I know that the 80s had a lot of hour time limit draws, blah, blah, but come the 90s, you know, that should have really been a different story. This Iron Man match is better, and almost all consequent WWE Iron Man matches are better than the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart one because they have more decisions than just one. Take this one. This is Ricky Steamboat, Rick Rude. It's 4 stars. Steamboat and Rude had a very good feud in WCW. Very good. Started Super Brawl, ended here with this Iron Man challenge. Not for the U.S. title. Again, Rick Rude is U.S. champion, and Ricky Steamboat does not get a shot at this championship. I don't know what is up with this. It makes no sense. If you have a champion in a match like this, put the championship on the line, okay? Because I mean, the only time I could think of this would be if Rick Rude was defending a guy who was facing a guy who perennially lost all the time, then sure, that would be a non-title match. But Ricky Steamboat, that should have been a U.S. title match. If you added the U.S. title to this, it probably could have gotten to much better to me, because then you got the whole title scenario added to everything else going on. Which, in terms of the storyline in this match, there was a lot of allegations made by Rude about the Steamboat family, or something that I gathered watching this show. So, this is a very good match. Rude takes an early 2-0 lead, and then he gets disqualified, which gets Steamboat a decision. He gets disqualified coming off the top rope, which Bill Watts actually outlawed in 1992. I don't really know why. I mean, I'm sure he had his reasoning, but I'm like... He did turn more of a profit than WCW had been doing at that time, but his rules, fans didn't like his rules too much as they got to be more established. They realized how stupid they were, or at least the coming off the top rope rule. Okay? Coming off the top rope has been an integral part of wrestling for decades at that time. Okay? I mean... If a rule like that had existed, say in 1983, when Don Morocco met Jimmy Snuka, sure, that was after the match anyway, but if it was in the match, or all these cage matches, that's the kind of a spot that you love to see in a match of a high flyer, and it is an off-the-top rope thing. So, it just makes no sense to outlaw something that's been an integral part in wrestling for quite a while. Maybe not in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s when Bill Watts was around, but by the late 80s, early 90s, off-the-top rope maneuvers, even in the early 80s, top rope maneuvers were becoming normal for smaller wrestlers to stand out more. So you take that away, and you basically make smaller wrestlers bland, because one of their niches is the high-flying stuff. It probably goes to the fact of why WCW did away with the Light Heavyweight Championship in '92 and didn't bring that kind of a division back till '96. Nearly 4 years later. Because, yeah. So. And then Rude gets it right back. Gets that fall he gave up back of a small package. And then Steamboat gets another fall, making it 3-2. And then Steamboat ties it up at 3-3. And then the ending sequence, Rude's got the sleeper on Steamboat. Steamboat jumps, he springs off the top rope with his feet, kind of like Bret Hart to Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 8, and pins Rude, getting 4-3. And then the whole last sequence is Rick Rude trying to tie the score, which makes no sense, because at that point all you could do is tie. You couldn't win, because they were very specific that it would be a tie in that case. And that's the problem I would have had with that I kind of have with this. These are the kind of matches that are designed not to have a draw. So that is the one thing I will give to the 60-minute Iron Man match, the first one that WWE did at WrestleMania 12, is they did have an overtime period to make sure somebody won. Because with an Iron Man match, it's designed that way. Okay, it is designed to make sure a winner is there. It's designed that way to not be a draw. So, yeah. So 4 stars. It's still a very good match, but like I said, a 5-star match has to be almost perfect and everything about it. And that's why I think if the U.S. title was on the line here, I probably would have bumped this at least up to at least 4.5, possibly 5, just because then you add the extra thing that the challenger wants the championship. Now I imagine that the storyline going into this was Steamboat probably didn't want the championship, he just wanted revenge for other things, but in some cases, the ultimate revenge is taking a champion's championship, so, you know. So then we get a 6-man tag match. Nikita, Koloff, Barry Windham, and Dustin Rhodes versus the Dangerous Alliance of Beautiful Bobby, Arn Anderson, and Steve Austin before he was Stone Cold. Yeah, before Eric Bischoff told him that black tights can't get over. Look what happened there, Bischoff. Special referee in this match is Ole Anderson. Now, they say he's a WCW senior referee, yet in everything from 92, I've only seen him ref this one match. Okay? And I've seen at one point all the WCW pay-per-views in 92. I've only seen Ole Anderson ref this one match, so if he's a senior official, which basically means you're the senior referee, if you are going to referee only one match per show, shouldn't it be the championship match? So, I don't really think he was an actual official. I know he was on the booking committee in 92, but that's an executive. That's not a referee, so don't tie senior official to an executive kind of thing. So it's a special referee type thing. And it's a formulaic tag match. It's a formulaic six-man match. It's 2.5 stars, but again, it's a DQ for coming off the top rope. Two of WCW's rules I never really understood. One I understood in a way because it was an NWA rule that they just decided to keep long after breaking away from the NWA, which is the throw over the top rope rule, which was always stupid since it was allowed in battle royals and everything. But I partially understand why WCW kept that because, as I said, that was an NWA rule. This rule I've never understood. This jumping off the top rope rule. But maybe that's where Matt Stryker got that idea from at December 2006 to make coming off the top rope illegal in his match with Balls Mahoney. At December 2006. And oh yes, I'll probably review that show just because it's one of those so bad it's good shows because it's very easy, very, very easy to just totally rip on. Even though I don't try to be negative all the time. Because I try to see the good and even the bad. I try to see the good and even the bad stuff. Because there is some good, but that show doesn't have much. So yeah, I'll get to that as the only ECW review I might ever do, since it technically counts as an ECW show. Even though it's a WWE-produced ECW show. And there's a lot of backstory about why that show fails, too, so... So yeah, then we get the WCW World Tag Team Championship match as our main event. Yeah, in 1992, a tag team match for the tag titles actually main events a pay-per-view. Yeah. And it wasn't it's not needed to be a tag match where you put every championship on the line like the WWE did a couple times, which is utterly stupid and way too clustery in that case. But this is the Steiner brothers versus Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Terry Bam Bam Gordy. This is a 4-star match, too. Again, though, it goes to a 30-minute time limit draw, and if it would have had a decisive winner, I would have bumped up. I would have bumped up the rating. But it goes to a time limit draw. These two teams would have another match at the Clash of the Champions a couple weeks later, or 2 days later, on the 22nd of June, in which Williams and Gordy won the tag titles. And then they went on at the Great American Bash, as I've already covered, to win the NWA Tag Tournament and thus unify the two sets of tag titles. So, again, though, I'm never a fan of time limit draws because the match can be very good. If you don't have a decisive winner, then I don't give it the highest rating I want to. Trust me, I wanted to give this match 4.5 stars. I did, because it is a 4.5 star match in terms of match quality. But you need a decisive winner in title matches, which they did 2 days later at the Clash of the Champions. But again, if you were just going to do a title change 2 days later, I would have just done it here, and then had the Steiners rematch, and then had the Steiners have a rematch, and all that. Because here's another reason I say that. Because up to this point, the Steiners had never been pinned. So, kind of like the Road Warriors, ironically, that the Steiners had never been pinned up to this point. And I know that Williams and Gordy actually won the tag titles by pinfall at that Clash of the Champions. So, if you would have put that on a pay-per-view, the Steiners winning by pinfall for the first time, it means more. So, that's why this match is only 4 stars instead of the 4.5 I wanted to give it. So, this gets a 19 out of possible 35. Now, half of 35 is, of course, 22.5. Or 17.5, or something like that. I think it's 22.5. Anyway, this is a C- show. If you took out the Simmons-Taylor match and the Bagwell-Valentine's match, you have a much better show. But in its current stance, it's a very high C-. The next retro review will be a WWE review, which will be uploaded probably tomorrow. So this will be in my playlist of all my retro reviews, which are in their own playlist. So if you like the video, like button's down there, subscribe button's down there, and thank you for watching. Bye.